everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another One Filmmaker. And I am back with another One Filmmaker, One Film. There we go, if I could speak correctly. And today, my very special guest is...
I'm Tom Devlin. I created the new horror film, Teddy Told Me To.
And many other things. Your list is very...
Yeah, I've worked on a lot of crap. in the best way, in the best sense of the way. And not crap. I've worked on some not crap.
That's true. You've worked on many movies that I have liked. So, Mahal Brothers, Full Moon, Charles Band, a lot of stuff. And now you're out there directing. So, and we're here to talk about your very first, there we go, directorial debut, Teddy Told Me To.
Yeah, I've been waiting to be on the podcast for a long time because we have not had a place to point people where to see the movie yet. So until now.
That's important to me because I want people to get excited about this and then they'll just click on the link and see it. So that's, and it's funny. I only got one autograph on this when I bought it from you, and that's Michael Shields.
That's awesome.
I figured I probably would have gotten more. Oh, no, there's you. You're right there.
Oh, okay. I'm on there too. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So this is the, well, first I got to tell you that is the least Tom Devlin background I have ever seen. I'm not seeing blood, skeletons. I'm not seeing heads cut off or anything that.
This is my new editing suite. You should be familiar. This was the set for His Name is Gacy. This was your office. But now it's my office. Unfortunately, my phone's plugged in, so I can't show off. I do have quite a few masks up here. And,
nice.
The memorabilia. We're still moving into the spot. Here's a mask from Teddy Told Me To. This was Duke the Chainsaw Clown.
Yeah, Drew Marvick.
Yeah. And then and back here, because of the Gacy movie, we have Candyman's coat just hanging on the wall back here because it was a Chicago thing. But yeah, I'll fill this up with autographs and awesomeness. It's new.
We're a work in progress.
Yes.
Yeah, this is. I thank you so much for being on here. We've been now friends for a few years, and yeah, I've wanted you on One Filmmaker for a long time, and we've discussed it a few times, but it just didn't happen until Teddy Told Me To.
And I really, I kind of wanted to wait until Teddy Told Me To because this is my first big one. Like when we started talking about the podcast, I had only directed Teddy, but I had produced several other movies. But now I've directed 6 feature films, and you've been in a couple of them. And
yes,
I'm very happy that Teddy is available. Las Vegas Frankenstein should be available very soon on Vudu and Tubi. Maybe by the end of the month, we're hoping. Fingers crossed. No exact date yet. And then, you were also in my most recent Slaughterhouse on the Hill, which I'm loving. That's what I built this office for, so I could edit Slaughterhouse.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm always happy and honored to be in one of your films. So it's when I get that message, I'm like, stop everything. Stop. This is what I'm doing on that night. This is it. So, because awesome. I've just been a fan before I knew you. So it was, it's great to finally meet you and see the Tom Devlin's Monster Museum, and which is, out in Boulder City. So if you guys are out in Boulder City, definitely go check that out. It is well worth it. And because you got the museum and the haunt. So
I think we had met previous, but I remember I got to know you on Evil Bong 7 because I referred you to Nakai. She was looking for some PAs and camera assistants and whatnot. And I'd met you at the museum because you had brought by AXEMAS, and we knew each other somehow. I don't remember, maybe getting Miranda on that Clown Motel job or something.
That was the first thing. Yeah, that was through Philip Tricky. And she was brought in at the last moment, and we got along really well on set. And we just stayed friends.
They had called me, and I was not able to go do that, and I just passed that off to Miranda, and then you guys became close friends, and I met you through her and AXEMAS. I remember
Yes.
that. And then the Evil Bong 7, we got to kind of know each other on set. And then since then, you've been around the Monster Museum since the whole time, really, you know.
Yeah, and it is such a fun place to be. I mean, it changes every time I go. So
Oh, it's different
it's
now.
always different.
Yeah.
It's
We're
is
always
it
we're
even more
always
different?
uh yeah, we've done a lot of work for October. Both sides. When you come back to the bullshit backlot, as it is, you know, my little filming area, completely, I've renovated everything, completely different. We're getting
Oh,
ready to
sweet.
do something very cool. And uh and that starts actually next week. So it's just been we've just been hustling, moving and shaking and moving things around and building stuff.
Yeah, because the Monster Museum changes as a museum, but your haunt is like kind of like your studio. Like it's
Yeah,
always
so
changing for whatever film you're making.
we're not even doing the haunt in that building anymore. That's become just our little production studio. You know, we built sets. So the haunt is now in only in the museum. It's called Nightmare at the Museum. We've done it every year. For those who don't know, the last 3 years, we also did a haunt next door to the Monster Museum. But in the last 2 years, since Teddy told me to, that was all a real haunted house in the movie. But then it became Frankenstein's lair for Las Vegas Frankenstein, Nameless's lair for Nameless, and then Feast of the After Dark, and then Slaughterhouse on the Hill. So we're just always we don't really have time to run people through there anymore because we're building so many weird sets, and they're not all super safe. It's kind of just facades for shooting on. So we keep the people in the museum.
Yeah, the evolution is pretty cool. I mean, of what it started out as and what it is now.
Yeah, it's
So
been a wild ride, man. It's crazy.
yeah, and so this, because we are here to talk about Teddy Told Me To. Now
Mhm.
this is the Teddy Takes America 2022 tour special edition.
We made
And
we only made 100 of those. Um, and those were the cities. We did, I think it was 13 cities in 3.5 weeks.
oh wow.
Uh, we played in different theater every other day or so, as quick as we could drive there. And me and my producer, Kayla, took the movie on the road. We had submitted to 20 film festivals and we got denied by 21 film festivals. So, uh,
What do they know?
you know, I understand it's a business, and but the truth of the matter is I needed the world to see the movie because we all worked so hard on it. So we booked our own tour in vintage cinemas across America. We started in Salem, Massachusetts. Well, we showed our first screening here in Vegas at the Art House. I believe you were there.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful kickoff to the tour. And then we hauled butt uh, to Salem, Massachusetts, and played at the Salem Cinema or Cinema Salem. We got to stay in the owner's house, which was like a 21 bedroom mansion. It
Oh
was
wow.
amazing. Me and Kayla each got our own floor. And then we went from there to Bangor, Maine, and then to the Pocono Cinema, which is my hometown in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and then Pittsburgh, Indiana, Chicago, Texas, Kansas City, Texas, Arizona, LA. I mean, it was crazy. It was awesome. It was the closest I ever felt to being a rock star. We'd roll into town, set up our table, and then like fill the house with friends, strangers, all different walks of life. And then we would do a Q&A after every movie, and just watching the audience reaction in the theaters was absolutely amazing, you know, and it made me realize people do still love horror flicks, like old school slasher horror flicks, you know. And then we were on this hunt for distribution, but during that tour I had a whole reckoning of like, maybe we don't look for distribution. Maybe we just build Plan 10 into that ourselves and build a machine of like Full Moon, you know, make a bunch of movies and put them out ourselves and do these little road tours. And that's kind of what Teddy kicked off because that's what we're doing, you know. And Those 100 DVDs or Blu-rays, it's both.
Yeah,
We
they got
sold those. We sold those by the end of the tour, and then we got another convention one that I put out called the pre-release, and we sold so many pre-release Blu-rays that we essentially paid for the movie. So
that's the way to do it.
It really worked out because the movie just came out on last Tuesday, and now anything that comes from that can go into the next film because we're done paying off this one. So
Yeah,
it was
that's
great.
Yeah, it says on here pre-release special edition only available to purchase on this tour. So
Yeah,
so can people get this at all anymore?
not that. No, that is a
Oh,
gone.
so this I keep. This is
That,
my own.
that is the first edition of what we've done. And
Wow. And
uh, and,
and
and
this is in it too.
what is that?
I think maybe
Oh, that's cool. Is that?
yeah, it says Sin City Horror Fest, Teddy Told Me To, November 5th, 8 p.m. feature film presented by V Channels.
Yeah, that was the first. So you bought that disc at the very first screening we ever screened it at, and I appreciate that because even though you're in the movie, you put your hard-earned money into buying it because you probably didn't have to do that. I will give you one of the official Blu-rays with all the special features and everything that we have out now. Next
Oh,
time I
thank you.
see,
Cool.
because the new Blu-rays are beautiful. They have wonderful special features. We have multiple documentaries on there. We have music videos on there. We're about to put out a vinyl record soundtrack. John Mazzari, who did the score for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, scored our film. So we have some really good music in it.
I have that in my notes, to
Yeah,
discuss music, and it's got a great soundtrack. This is a really good movie. It's really fun. I've now watched it 3 times, and I like it more and more every time I see it.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's great. One of the things that I really like is that the credits here are huge, but
Yeah,
I'm on the back. I'm
of
right
course.
there, and so thank you. And I am in the presence of all of these people like Trent Haga, and going to Drew Marvick, and we got. I mean, God, there's so many people in this.
Felissa
Michael
Rose,
Shields, Felisa Rose, Peter
Kate Grant.
Steckles.
Yeah, Warrington Gillette. There's a lot of people showed up and helped out.
Yeah, Lisa Wilcox.
Lisa Wilcox.
Yeah, I mean yeah, we'll definitely get into that. And the one of the things that I really liked about this is like the characters keep talking about family. And this truly is family. This has your family in it, your friends. It's got a bunch of strangers. It's got crew, your normal crew. This is kind of a whole Tom Devlin kind of camp of
It re-
people.
it really is. My entire family, and even my dad, he got cut out of the movie, but he was in it.
No.
But my wife and both my children are on screen acting. I'm on there. I got a little brief cameo.
Get
But
your nose messed up.
it was my first outing as a director, and I just wanted to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at it because maybe I would never do it again. And it really does serve scrapbook of our existence of what we did that crazy October. And it was crazy, man. Like working the haunted house all night, and then we wrap it up and we shoot the movie from midnight to 4 in the morning or whatever it was. It was cold. It was my 8-year-old daughter was on set, and it was like I'm
She
sure
did a
there
good
was
job.
child labor laws that we broke there. Non-union. We're non-union.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just Vegas and just everything that Boulder City and all that. It's when I first moved out here, I hated it. I hated it. Just everything went wrong, from head-on collisions to cockroach infestations, and it's just like everything was horrible. And then I started to know people like you. I started to realize that there was a film community out here, which I would have never thought. I figured I'd have to go to LA. And all of a sudden meeting you and, Miranda and Drew Marvick and Heidi Moore and, and the Mahals and Joe Lujan. And it's like, oh my God, we can make movies out here. And now I love it. Now I would never move. So
It's
now
great.
to me, Vegas is great.
I'm a transplant as well. I moved here when I first met you. I thought my movie career was over. Like I was done working on movies. I had a great run in LA, and I ran away and had a midlife crisis at 30 and moved to Florida, fell in love with wrestling, pro wrestling, and kind of was done with movies. I was pretty not in a dark spot, but I was pivoting. I didn't know what to do, And then I got this weird call. My buddy Sin Bodhi, who is a very good friend, he had me come out here and work on a wrestling show for him where I made up a bunch of vampires and clowns. And I'm sitting outside this haunted house called Helltown on Blue Diamond. They're doing a wrestling show there. And I called my wife and I said, what do you think about ever moving to Vegas? And she goes, what would we do there? And I said, they love haunted houses and wrestling. Like, this is so cool. And then we never thought about it. But like 3 weeks later, I got this odd phone call from a school here, a makeup school, and they wanted to hire me sight unseen. They offered me more money than I've ever made. And we just packed up and moved. We just had a baby and we had bought a house. But I just knew there was something weird about, like, why am I feeling like Vegas is not letting me go, So we came here, and I had thought I would resign to being a teacher forever. I'm done making movies. I had made a lot of movies, and but I fell back in love with it. And when I opened the Monster Museum, I really fell back in love with what the Monster Museum stands for. The art and history of practical effects in film and cinema, and one thing led to another, and now I can't see myself ever not making movies in Boulder City, Las Vegas Valley area. This is I feel like I have a whole new career ahead of me,
Yeah, it's
which is,
such an interesting place to shoot. I mean, it's bright, it's desert, it's you open a door and you're just blinded. It's a totally different look than LA or
yeah.
any other place. It's you're in. You may go, oh, is that LA and like in the desert area? But otherwise, I don't think so. I think Vegas has such a different look.
When you watch a movie made in the desert outside of Los Angeles, you can tell it's Palmdale or Chatsworth or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brush. But here we have prehistoric rock, and we have everything from Lake Mead to Mount Charleston. There really is we can achieve any look here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, when I first started getting into this whole thing, I didn't even know Mount Charleston existed. So I'm just like, well, crap, all I could do is make movies in the desert. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes away,
but
there's trees.
An interesting thing is, like, in Teddy Told Me To, you would never realize that movie's shot in the desert. You know what I mean? Because it's all interiors or at the haunted house.
Yeah.
Same thing with like your AXEMAS being shot in the storage units. You would never know that that's the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Right. You almost have to tell people, where it is.
You really can. Like when we did Las Vegas Frankenstein, now it's supposed to take place in Las Vegas, but we shot it out here in Boulder City, and it looks like they're in downtown Vegas the whole time, So there's a lot of ways to manipulate the landscapes and what we're doing.
I mean, and it's so, even, with something like Teddy Told Me To, where it's mostly shot inside, you then went, you're on your own, you own what's there. It's you could do whatever you want. And then for something like Las Vegas Frankenstein, it's like, let's go down to Fremont Street. Yeah. Let's have the monster run around. Did anybody stop you?
No, they stopped John Carius.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that got caught. But no, like the Fremont Street scene, that's the cool thing about where we're at too, is that production value is built in. The funny thing is this, and all Las Vegas filmmakers, I learned a hard lesson. Permits to shoot movies in Las Vegas are free. All you have to do is apply for it. But they don't want people shooting without the permit because they want to know that people are shooting a movie when they're running around like that.
Makes sense.
What I mean? It's much different than LA. You don't have to spend $1,500 for a permit for 7 square feet. You just have to apply and tell them that you're going to get some exteriors and shoot on the sidewalk, and they're fine with it. But I didn't do that. I guerrilla shot the whole thing, and we did get chased by the cops at the end.
Well, see, you just have to be quick and sneaky. I mean, when I did Skull Evil, I shot it in my apartment complex, and the security guard rolled up, and I'm like, oh crap, here we go. And I'm like, dude, this apartment is empty right here. We're not disturbing anybody. He's like, I don't care. I just want to watch you guys film.
Make a movie. That's cool.
Yeah, and then for like AXEMAS 2, we needed a bookstore and a restaurant. So Ben Stover went out and he's like, okay, I found them for you. And I'm like, all right, how much? He goes, just buy a meal and buy a book. That's it. That's all we had to do. But in LA, no way.
That's because Ben is such a nice guy, and he probably walked in and became their best friend.
Yes, exactly.
They
That's
offered
true.
their children or something.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. So so Teddy told me to it's this is 2022, but it's listed as 2023.
Well, actual release date was last Tuesday. So
last Tuesday. Okay.
the 10th, October 10th was the actual release date of Teddy Told Me To.
Okay. And the film runs 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 17 seconds. And we do start it off with some trailers. So, which I'm very excited to see that new version, because this has trailers, but it doesn't have like behind the scenes and bloopers and things like that. So that's going to be great to see. But the like the trailers that are on there are everything that a lot of stuff you've already done. So we got the Legend of Sand Squatch. We got that one.
Legend of the Sand Squatch. That was the first movie my wife and I ever made.
Yeah, I have a copy of it right over here. Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yep. Then we have the Trek.
Yep, that's the third movie my wife and I ever made.
I got that on VHS. Thank you. Las Vegas Frankenstein trailer.
Yep, I think that disc has the old trailer. There's a better Las Vegas Frankenstein trailer available now.
Okay. And I have that too. Thank you. And then we have Tom Devlin's Monster Museum promo, which I thought was pretty funny.
You know, if we're going to distribute our own movies, we have the ability to advertise our business at the same time, you know?
Sure. Why not? And it's a funny promo.
Yeah.
You know, I liked it. And the great thing about your museum is that it has a movie theater in it.
Yeah, it does. It has a little screening room. We play documentaries there during the day, and then sometimes we'll do little special events and stuff.
And you have signings. So you have actors come out and do signings.
I do. I've cut back on it quite a bit. We do about 2 a year now, one at Valentine's Day and one in July for our anniversary party. There's just a lot of other businesses locally that are doing that, and I don't want to step on people's toes. It really hurt. The market's kind of flooded, you know.
But you got some of these people like Felicia Rose and CJ Graham and all that who have been at the museum.
Yeah,
you know, to the end, He told me to.
That's true. Like, those guys are my friends. So I've been in the industry for a long time. Me and Felissa worked together in 2007 on a movie called Silent Night, Zombie Night. That's where I met her.
I own that movie. Yes, I own that movie.
Yeah, with Lou Temple and Felissa and Vernon Wells was in that.
Yeah, I watch that actually every Christmas. It's on my Christmas list to watch.
So I did the effects on that, and that's when I met Felissa, and we've been buddies ever since. CJ Graham, I met. He came to a signing at the museum, and he lived here in Kingman, not too far from Boulder. He doesn't live in Kingman anymore. He's moved on, but we used to see each other all the time, and we see each other at conventions and whatnot. So when I was making Teddy, I knew it was a throwback to these old 80s slashers. So I really wanted Felissa and CJ and Warrington. Those are just my friends, and I called them and begged them to give me a day of their time, and I would, help them out with something if they needed. And it really worked out well that way, and that's a cool thing about, like, the people that come and do signings at the museum, most of them I do know. So whether it's through work or friendship or whatever, and then, you know, if we're able to make a movie that weekend, maybe we can shoot their parts out. You know what I mean? And we get our little cameos, which gives that Rob Zombie flavor a little bit, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you have two Jasons, so you know, Warren and CJ.
Yeah.
So and of course, you know, Felicia Rose will always be known as the chick with the dick. So
Yeah.
as she has said, she has said that. So I don't want
to. She's the mangled dick expert now.
Yeah.
That's her official title, is mangled.
So what is Plan 10 Pictures?
So Plan 10 Pictures is a company that me and my wife started in 2003, and we made a little tiny movie called Plan 10 from Inner Space, which was an unofficial sequel to Plan 9 from Outer Space. And it was about these kooky aliens that similar to the This Island Earth aliens, but they were trying to stop the destruction of the universe by taking out the mother of a president to be very Terminator-esque. They were after Barbara Bush. They were going after Barbara Bush.
Barbara Bush. Oh, okay.
They accidentally fell in love with her, though, so it didn't work out, and George was stillborn. So we never really finished it. We ended up making like a little short kind of music video out of it because I don't know what happened. It was a lot of work. We turned my whole apartment into a spaceship. We got evicted because we destroyed my apartment. But it was awesome. It was the first like thing that I knew like this chick's cool and we're making movies, you know. And then we made Legend of the Sasquatch, a film called Gould Creek that is very good, and it will be out in Blu-ray very shortly.
Oh, nice.
We made a movie called The Trek, and then we made a movie called Halfway to Hell that we've never finished, but we're working on it right now, trying to tighten it up and finish it. And then we took a hiatus for about 12 years because we had kids and moved, and I quit movies. And then when it came time, I had wanted to make Teddy Told Me To. It's a character I created on Face Off about 12 years ago. And I approached Lola and was like, I really want you to direct this movie. I'll produce it. It'll be my character. We'll do it at the haunted house, yada, yada, yada. And she said, no, I don't really want to. I think you should direct it. And I was like, you're the director. I'm just the effects guy, you know, producer. I'll make it happen. And she wouldn't do it. She's like, it's your story. You direct it. So when we did Teddy, we brought back Plan 10 Pictures because that was our company together, you know. We tried in the early 2000s, like 2007 to 9. We were trying to do exactly what we're doing right now, become a distribution company. We went to AFM. Lloyd Kaufman let us use his room to sell Legend of the Sasquatch in AFM, and which is a big deal for filmmakers. It's very hard to get into. It's expensive, and knowing people is very difficult. But it fell apart because of how I'm like wired to keep going and working. Like I can have 7 movies in production. I'm very all over the place that way, and she is not. So she's very focused on the one. So that was very hard. And on Halfway to Hell, we kind of closed down Plan 10 in the middle of like good times. We were distributing a movie called Easter Bunny Kill Kill, which was a Chad Farron film. We were distributing.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
We were distributing a movie called The Red's Breakfast Experience, which is a Caleb Emerson film. It was the precursor to Die Zombie Bastards. So like we were kind of on a roll, but then it just fell apart because we weren't on the same page. So then when we started Teddy Up, I got back on that roll, and we've made, like I said, just finished our 6th film. But I've learned that like let Lola focus on some of the bigger ones, let her have her time, and let me just make the smaller ones and keep going. So I've got a great team around me right now to pick up the slack, and I don't know. I think Plan 10's here to stay this time, you know. And although it was incepted like in 2003, I don't think it worked. I think Plan 10 is the house that Teddy built, the way that New Line is the house that Freddie built, you know. And I would like to see Plan 10 go do great things. and I think there'll be Teddy Told Me To sequels and prequels, and down the road we'll really explore the character as long as people really tend to like it.
I think that the Teddy character, especially with the way that Michael and Jason Wallace plays him, I think it's a great character. I love the way he looks,
Oh,
and
thank
it's yeah. I mean, he looks like that, and he's got this teddy bear face with a button right there, and like overalls, and I think he's really cool, and I think both Jason and Michael did a really good job on him.
you.
So
Appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, it's
Those
I
guys were fantastic. They were, they're all just horror fans, and they just wanted so badly to be in the movie.
yeah, and it's nice is Jason has helped with crowdfunding on my stuff, so he's going to be in if I could ever get my budding gear. He'll be in something, and Michael and I have talked, so I definitely want him to be in there and put in little parentheses. Teddy told me to. You
Yeah,
know,
that's cool.
just as like you put Robin England, Nightmare on Elm Street, that type of thing, is that's what I want him to have.
Yeah.
With Lola, did you know when you first met her that she was into all this stuff, or did she get into it? What happened? I mean, that's great that you met somebody who wants to be part of this.
So she was my waitress in 2003, and I invited her to my birthday party because she was cute, and showed up. And that night, I found out she was a USC film graduate. She's a serious filmmaker. I'm a bullshit filmmaker. That was a crazy thing because I learned from the school of trauma, and she learned from the school of George Lucas. So we have a
Interesting.
very different training and a very different take on how to achieve what we're doing. But after we've been together 19 years now, like, I think we've both bled off on each other enough that I think that's why Teddy it's not quite a shitty slasher film. Like, there's a little bit
No,
of
no, no.
quality. You know what I mean? Even though we made it for very low budget with a bunch of friends and a lot of non-actors, and we built the sets and we did all the effects and we edited, sound designed it, there's a little bit of professionalism to it that maybe is missed by some other, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I'm tooting her horn. And also Caleb Emerson, who edited, he's an incredible editor. And the guy, everybody that helped brought a great flavor to it. But I always credit Lola and Caleb for making my shit look good.
And it does. You would never think watching this that this would be your first directing job, because it's well directed, it's well edited, the music is good, the effects are great. I mean, and plus just with all the people, known and not known in it, giving 100%.
Yeah.
So it's something that, and obviously you're just going to improve with film after film after film after film.
You always
So
learn. We're learning every time. And also, like you said, you can't tell that it's the first time I directed. That's because everybody showed up, and they really showed up. You know what I mean? Like, nobody half-assed. Of course, there's problems that happen and things that go
yeah.
wrong, but everybody really tried, and I think it shows. There was a lot of passion from everybody involved, and every project I've done so far has been that. So we'll see if it keeps going with the good reviews and stuff. But Teddy has gotten fantastic reviews for not getting in any of those film festivals. I've not had one review that's like, this is total garbage. I actually am waiting. I'm waiting for the review that says this is total garbage. I don't know what people are talking about. But I guess our closest negative review would be Film Threat. The reviewer said, I am not into slasher films with gratuitous nudity, but the ones that are will love this movie. And his last name was the same name from the Wolfman. I don't know why I'm forgetting.
Lyle Talbot.
Talbot. Yeah.
Talbot.
Like the reviewer's name was like Larry L. Talbot. And I was like, okay, he should review Las Vegas Frankenstein, not Teddy,
It might be, yeah, more up his
alley.
Yeah. And I used to know Chris Gore. So when I lived in Pasadena, my friend Anthony was friends with him. I don't know if he's still friends with him or not, but yeah, I knew him off and on through Anthony, who worked at a Laserdisc store. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Not Dave,
he was a
not
nice
Dave's
guy.
house.
Say it again.
It wasn't Dave's Laser House, was it, in Burbank? Or I mean, in North Hollywood, the Laserdisc store.
No, this one was in Pasadena, on the same street that Scream 2 was shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was like a little Laserdisc store, as I'm sure it's probably way out of business by now.
Yeah,
But it's interesting of who you meet just from renting Laserdiscs. So
yeah,
now you had mentioned that the character of Teddy was created during Face Off.
yes.
What made you think, oh, this would be a good movie? This would be a good scary movie.
So we were challenged on the fourth episode of the first season of Face Off. We were challenged with creating a slasher character that would be franchisable or whatever. And Sean Cunningham was the guest judge from the creator of Friday the 13th. And he had mentioned that something from your childhood is probably you're able to tap into for adult fears. Like that's something that kind of sticks around. So I had this weird story from back when I was a little kid. I love Child's Play so much. And I watched Child's Play 2 at this kid Brian Whipple's house when I was way too young. And I was not allowed to watch horror movies as a kid. So I was afraid to fall asleep and have a nightmare. My parents find out I watched a horror film. So by the time I did fall asleep, I did have a nightmare that Chucky and Teddy Ruxpin teamed up against me. And it was terrifying because Teddy Ruxpin was like my world. I love that thing. And much like Andy loved Chucky. And so when I woke up in the morning, I removed one of his eyeballs and I removed his lower jaw. And thought that would stop him from being evil because he couldn't talk or blink, but he just looked like horrifying, you know. And I still have that doll to this day. It actually makes an appearance in the movie. So I reskinned it with some different hair so I wouldn't get sued or anything. But the bear that little boy receives for his birthday is my original Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's cool. So now with doing these type of things as a kid, I actually meant to ask this after the Plan 9 question. So how does all this kind of evolve into 1313 effects?
So as far as 1313 effects goes, I've been a makeup effects artist now for almost 25 years. I started 1313 effects in 2001 on a film called Joshua. Actually, before Joshua, I did a zero budget movie called Devil's Moon that starred Trent Haga and Tiffany Shepis. And it was shot, cinematography was by Chad Farron, who's an independent filmmaker. And that was directed by a guy named Dave DeFino. And that was my first time I ever was like the effects guy on that movie. And I became very good friends with Trent Haga, and we're still the closest, you know. But then I did a movie in Indiana called Joshua for a guy named Travis Betts, and it ended up being distributed by Fangoria. Fantastic film. We shot it on 16 millimeter. It's probably one of the coolest horror films I've ever made, and it was my first. It really was like we were out making Evil Dead. We're shooting on film. We were burning down cabins. We were making monsters and blood and guts, and it's not stupid. It's really, really smart. And if you haven't seen Joshua, 2002 or 2003, I don't know what's on the box. I highly, highly recommend it because it's so good. But that's when I came up with the name 1313 Effects to go kind of sit down with Trav and impress him and try to get the job. We met at a place called the Hamburger Hamlet on Hollywood Boulevard, and I met and I was talking big game. I had worked on big movies because my first job ever was on X-Files season 8. So I had worked on X-Files season 8 and 9. I had worked on Scorpion King and Red Dragon and Terminator 3 before Joshua. But I didn't I had never been the guy. You know, I worked on a team. I was part of a team. So getting Joshua was a huge thing. And I came up with the name 1313 Effects based on 1313 Mockingbird Lane, which The Munsters is my favorite show. And I remember when I first had the company, I would write out 13 with the full word, and I stole the font from 13 Ghosts because I thought that was so cool. So it would have a number 13 and then the word 13. But that changed, you know. And yeah, I've been doing makeup effects. That's all I ever wanted to do since I was in about 10th, 9th, 10th grade. I wanted to make monsters, and I've worked on about 163 films making monsters. So
Wow.
I've and many TV shows, and it's been an awesome life. You know, I love what I do. All my actual like social circle are people that I had posters of on my wall when I was a little kid. Like I work with hand in hand with Kane Hodder and Butch Patrick and, you know, Ari Mihailoff and all these guys that I know so well. I loved as a kid, and they're my friends now. It's just bizarre. It's a bizarre thing.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get into these type of things of who you do meet and who you have like a relationship with after that. I mean, I've just through one filmmaker, I've met so many people that I now keep in contact with, and I've been in their movies or they've held to me. And it's all just, you know, it's this kind of
Spider web. It's like a
yeah.
spider. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's really that's a good way to describe it. So
There's a thing like in 2007 or whenever that Silent Night Zombie Night is, I happened to be on set with Felissa Rose, who I was a fan of Sleepaway Camp, huge, and I let her know it, kind of like a fanboy. You know, I got something signed because I am that guy. One opportunity, I'm gonna talk to them, but we cultivated a friendship, and we ended up. She brings me on movies, and I bring her on movies, and it's just crazy. As long as you show up and do a good job and you're nice, these people are just people, you know.
yeah, it's like when I did Meetup Massacre 4 and Brink Stevens was there. I'm like, hey, can you
Oh,
sign these posters for the Indiegogo people? And then when she got done, I kind of slid like, here's a little poster from, you know, Full Moon, and here's a DVD. Can you sign these for me, please? And I didn't know if that was okay or not. You know, it's like I'm
so
the director of the film. You know, is that kind of weird?
yeah, it's always okay to appreciate your talent. They're gonna love one of my. I'm gonna get back to Brink in a second, but one of my favorite moments was on the After Dark. I did the whole movie. I was real professional, and we had Gangrel from WWE. I'm a huge mark for Gangrel. I had cultivated the After Dark in 1998 when he was on the top of the world as the Brood. Like to have him in the movie was amazing. And on the last day, he's like, I don't know if this is big headed. I've seen your stuff and you got stuff all over the place. And I brought this, and he had an 8x10 he had signed for me. And I had printed one for him to sign for me from the movie. So I was like, oh, good, because I had brought this for you to sign, you know. And I'm great friends with Dave, who Dave Heath is Gangrel. I love that guy, but I still am a fan of Gangrel, you know. But when you were shooting Me Hook Massacre 4 with Brink Stevens, I was on a movie called Killer Rose with Brink Stevens the same week. Like she drove from our set,
Oh,
did
that's
the
okay.
did the weekend with you, and then came back. I've worked on a lot of Full Moon movies. I've worked on a lot of independent horror films with a million scream queens. But when Brink Stevens showed up on Killer Rose, I was so starstruck because I love Brink Stevens so much. And it's crazy that you know, I was probably 38 or whatever it was then. I'm 42 now. So a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's so funny. I've worked with all of my heroes, but when she stepped on set, I was just gooey. It's like that's Brink Stevens, and she's
Yes.
right here, and she's amazing, and she's so nice, and she's wonderful. And I got some pictures with her, and you know, and I still continue to talk to her, and she's lovely, and she had a great time on your film.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with her. She wasn't there. She was really only there for about 2 days,
Yeah,
but
she was in Sunday that we
very
had.
professional.
I remember because Miranda Dudley was doing your effects, and at that time she was kind of under my tutelage. So I Brink did not know when she went there that, and then when she came back, she was like, Miranda did a fantastic job. And I was like, oh, that's like she had Miranda had told her that she was working with me on the other one or something, you know.
Yeah, Miranda was so sad. She made what we called roadkill cat, and it
Mhm.
was we just had a stuffed cat, like a kid's cat, and she cut it in half and made it all bloody, and its intestines were hanging out. And then when we moved from one location to another, she put it into a trash bag, and I guess somebody thought it was garbage and just threw it away.
Ah, bummer.
Yeah, and it was gone. And then so when we shot again, we had to get Roadkill Cat 2, which was never the same. But
Right.
you know, we finished it, but it wasn't the same. So
I
that
I
one we
did
still have.
100 years ago. I did a movie called The Gay Bed and Breakfast of Terror, and that happened with a set of contact lenses. I had taken the contact lenses out of Noah Naylor, the Manfred character, and put them in the little. They're in like a petri dish looking thing. Somebody thought it was craft services and threw it away. And we were in
Oh
the middle,
no.
so there's no getting those contact lenses back. You know.
Yeah, it's just you got to be really careful with that stuff
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
I figured out. So it's yeah, it's tough. So to kind of circle back to then with you creating Teddy, so you have the Teddy Ruxpin, you're on Face Off. Did you see like your version of Teddy Ruxpin and then go, that would make a good killer?
No, I just drew from the childhood and thought, yeah, I was really inspired looks wise by Jason Goes to Hell because Sean Cunningham was standing there. So that's why the mask is kind of embedded in his skin in Face Off. And then also I love that character Babyface from The Hills Run Red.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
So I was just kind of trying to cash in on a character that I would like to make a movie of, and it worked. The character in my movie is slightly different looking because I was a little bit nervous about stepping on Face Off. I didn't want to get sued by Sci-Fi, who's owned by NBC. So I didn't do the prosthetics in my movie that are on that show because the show was very heavy prosthetics like silicone, wrinkly skin, and stuff like that. So instead, we had bearded Teddy people, and they worked out great. And I
Yeah,
do think brawls are creepy, and that's a little bit of Chucky, a little bit of Jason, a little bit of Babyface from Hills Run Red.
yeah, and you can buy the figure for Teddy at your museum.
Yeah, eventually those will be for sale online too. But we sell like a 3-inch action figure, like the reactions, like a fake reaction figure. And I'd like to have them. We call because Plan 10 pictures, so we try to do Plan 10 figures. So we're gonna do a figure for all the movies.
Oh, sweet. Oh, the one for Vegas Frankenstein would look awesome.
We have him. He's done. I just gotta get them. They got to get painted and packaged, but they're ready to go.
Yeah, they're hand done, right?
Yeah, yeah. We 3D print everything. It's all very DIY. So we 3D print it. We paint them at the Monster Museum. Waleed paints behind the counter while he's on the clock, and then my wife does all the packaging, like the cards and the bubbles and all that.
Yeah, so if you were to buy two figures, they wouldn't look the same.
Correct. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And you had mentioned that there could be a franchise. Is that a possibility in the future?
It is if it catches fire. Like I don't want to make a sequel if nobody wants the sequel. You know what I mean? But if people seem to like the movie and there's a lot of positive reaction, I have a script ready to go for the sequel, and I would love to make it. I need a little bit more money this time because the sequel's got to be a little bit bigger, but it's
Sure.
I would love to do it.
Yeah, we relearned that from the Scream movies. So
Yeah.
that's what you got to do. You just got to make the sequel bigger and better and bloodier. So
There's a Plan 10 piece of trivia in the Scream franchise is that Scream 5 and 6 was co-directed by a guy named Tyler Gillette. One of Tyler Gillette's first film jobs was being the second cameraman on the Trek. Plan 10 Pictures, the Trek.
oh, okay. There we go.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. That's very cool.
Charles Band, or Roger Corman giving Joe Dante their start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Could you see other people directing the sequels? Like you did the second one, kind of set it all up, and then 3, 4, and 5 would just be by different people?
I would love to get to the point where we can. I think I'll always direct movies, but I like producing movies. I would love to sit back and watch somebody else take the property and do something. I mean, obviously, I'd want to approve who's doing that, but my camera guy, Corey Clear, he's very interested in directing a feature film, and I would love to see him do it. I'd love to see Waleed Atchi, my effects guy, do it as well. He's very excited, and you know, I'm definitely, like I've told you before, I love your version of Meat Hook Massacre.
Thank you.
I think it's great, and I love that idea of the director. I just have never done it.
Yeah, it's if you look at the Meat Hook stuff, there's definitely different varieties of quality to each one. So
Yeah,
you know, so they could be interesting. So, but that's a whole other video to talk about those.
I don't know if you can tell. I've got a phone call coming in. It's Kane Hodder, but you've gone small and sideways. So if I still look, oh, you're back. Now you're back. Okay.
Am I
see.
okay?
Oh, yep. There we go. That
wow.
was. I didn't know that during Zoom you could accept phone calls. That's weird.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I mostly just use my laptop, but when I have used my phone, I haven't gotten any in. And to know that Kane Hodder is calling in during this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, we have to work. We're working this weekend in Lexington, Kentucky at Scarefest. So he'll be wearing the Part 7 costume and the Part 8 costume. So it's I'm sure he's calling to say, "You got your shit together?" And I'm like, "Yep." Okay, bye.
What is your with him being Jason, what is your favorite Jason?
Of him or
yeah.
all?
I guess him and then all. I mean, that's fine. Sure.
I would say my favorite looking of him is Part 7. My favorite film with him is Jason X. Unpopular, I know, but I love it. And I do love Jason Takes Manhattan. I love it. But my favorite Jason is Ted White in Part 4.
He was brutal.
Oh, he's great. I love Friday the 13th Part 4. My top 3 would be Part 4, Part 6, and Jason X in that order.
Okay. And what might be? I would be 2, Part 2, then 7, then I know I may have to go back to maybe 5.
I love Part 5. See, I could also say Part 2, Part 1, and Part 5 are 3 of my favorite. Like I like them all. I love them all. But Part 4 and Part 6 are my 2 favorites of all time.
Yeah, I really wish that they'd work out their crap so we could get another one, but it doesn't need to cost $10 billion to make either.
But it will, and that's kind of why I'm like, I love it when they were low budget. You know what I mean? I have a real hard time with the multi-million-dollar slasher franchises.
You could take the remake of Friday the 13th that one film probably cost more than all the Friday the 13th combined.
Yeah.
You don't need that amount of money to make a Friday the 13th. We just love Jason. We just want to see him killing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So, and so speaking of money, how what was the if you could tell, what was the budget for Teddy?
Well, I tell people it's about $50,000, and that is including all the favors that people. If I paid for the favors, which I did not pay for the favors, so I tell people $50,000, but it was significantly lower because I don't pay for the favors.
Gotcha. And do you do crowdfunding at all?
Never. I'm adamantly against crowdfunding, and no offense to anybody who does crowdfund. I work for the Mahals. You know,
they're crowdfunding kings.
What I love about the Mahals is they put on like a film camp, right? Like they get enough industry professionals to make a really cool movie, and then they let these people live vicariously, not vicariously, they actually come and live and be filmmakers for, lawyers and doctors, and these guys that have mundane, important jobs get to come, ex-law enforcement dudes and they get to make movies. It's like alongside of really talented people like Michael Sue, and it it's awesome what the Mahals do. My gripe with crowdfunding on the indie level is I'm not accusatory towards anybody, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I don't like people that take people's money to make a movie and then never make said movie. That sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like asking my fans to fund the film. I want to gift the film to the fans so they love it. When I work on a movie like an Asylum film or Full Moon movie, I'm there, I'm in it, I have a good time, do a good job. I don't watch that movie over and over again. But when I go buy the new subspecies that Ted Nicolau just made, I will watch it 400 times because I'm a fan. It's not my work. I'm not sitting there judging my work. So I don't want to lift the curtain, and when you crowdfund, you lift the curtain. They see I've been involved with some projects that didn't go very well, that were crowdfunded, that the movies got made and they're good movies, but the drama behind the scenes was public to everyone. Filmmaking is not, there's not just a way to do it and this is how it gets done and you're done. It's problem solving. So there's going to be problems. Every day there's problems. And we have to fix those problems, overcome those problems. And I don't want those problems public until the film's out and it's awesome. And then you can judge it all you want. You know what I mean? But I don't need people running around talking about how it's a disaster before they even know what we've done.
Oh yeah. Well, and out here in Vegas, everything is so kind of like ancestral. I mean, we all work on each other's movies. So it's we're working on 3 films from 3 different filmmakers. You hear stuff constantly. And
everything everybody hears about this camp to be, oh, those guys are having a blast. You know what I mean? and yeah, everything goes wrong, but then we just fix it. I just got this fortune today. I'm going to shoot a movie next week. And I just got this fortune and I love it. It says, work hard, be nice.
Oh, there you go. Okay. That's a good motto.
That's what I need to remind myself, because like our lead actor stepped out yesterday and I already bought a plane ticket and it's non-refundable. He can reschedule it for himself, but I cannot. So, but yeah, what do? We just cast another guy, a great guy. I actually went to the better guy, but it's just one of those things, man. That's my problem with crowdfunding, is kind of the public accountability and also being responsible for those people. Like, I do get investors. When I have an investor come on, I love to deal with that person and make sure that person is happy. But if that is 40, 100 people, I don't know how to keep them all happy. Some of them you can't. They don't want to be happy. So I've never crowdfunded a movie for myself, and I would, as much as I could, I would not. Where I would step into crowdfunding and dip my toes is like for merchandise, because I want to make a robot boxing movie, and I would love to make. I am making a robot boxing movie in December, and I would love to make a set of Rock'em Sock'em robots that look like my robots. Well, that's very, very pricey, and maybe a Kickstarter or a Indiegogo pre-selling that item if the goal's met. I like Kickstarter because if it doesn't get met, they get their money back, and then you don't have to. I don't know.
Right. No. I understand. So I am guilty. I mean, I did crowdfund for AXEMAS 3 and 4, and they haven't been shot yet. And it's COVID has something to do with it, and being lazy has another thing to do with it. So, among other things.
But they will get made. I know that you were looking at last month and talking about it, and it's just one of those things. I wear that pressure like it's a lead vest, knowing that people I'd lose my mind. I couldn't. I ask enough favors from people, but I could not ask for money. I would have a really hard time with that.
But that's the great thing about being out here in Vegas is you know, you can say to something like, you know, hey, Drew Marvick, would you like to be a killer Santa Claus? Oh, sure. And then 4 months later, hey, John, how would you like to come and work on my film? You don't
Yeah,
ask for money. You don't ask for anything. You just do it. You know, you like the person in the film, and you don't ask for anything. You just do it. It's just, I think, how we do it out here.
yeah. No, there's a tight community out here for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So something I really liked in Teddy, the beginning animated credits and the song. Please talk about that.
So the song was created by a band called Chainsaw Fight, and Chainsaw Fight, I believe, is the greatest horror punk band of all time. They're badass. They have several albums out. You can find them on Spotify and all wherever you find music streaming. But they wrote that theme song, and they also provided a song called "Don't" that's in the movie. And they also wrote the "Everybody's Haunting for the Weekend" kind of lover boy knockoff.
I noticed that. Yeah.
But the lead singer to Chainsaw Fight is Waleed Atchi, who is my effects dude that works with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw somebody was wearing the shirt for the band too, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
and there's also a Chainsaw Fight with Michael and Drew's character, and that is clearly stated by Peter Stickles. He says, "Oh my God, there's a chainsaw fight,"
With
and
his cheesy '80s porn mustache.
oh, it's amazing. I love Peter
Oh,
Stickles, and
Peter's
I go
awesome.
back a long way, and he's one of my favorite actors ever. And he came out just to be part of it, you know. Um, and then the animated sequence, I get asked about that more than anything. I did that little stop motion on my iPhone with an app about 2 hours before we locked the movie. Like while my wife was editing, I was just in the other room doing that stop motion with the this doll that I had, and it's just a little iPhone app, and then she threw some cool colors into it and stuff. But uh, it was, yeah. So
That is awesome.
I did a stop motion, and then I put it in my iPhone in iMovie. I just put the comic book filter on it, and then made it black and white, and gave it to her, and she put color to it. So we did that like literally the night of delivery. You know, it was pretty crazy.
Wow. I was expecting you to say like, oh yeah, they wanted like $500 for it. You know, I found this specialty guy, and wow,
Yeah,
okay.
just me. And then I came home the next day, and my daughter had made uh, stop motion with this because I left all the stuff out. She had made a stop motion where Jason killed off all her Barbie dolls, which was it was or not Jason, Teddy. Teddy had killed off all
Oh,
her.
that's even better.
It was pretty funny, and I think Jason showed up in her stop motion too. It was very funny.
So how do you that this is a good segue. How do you feel about, I mean, obviously you're okay with it, but your daughter swearing?
Oh well, that was pretty awesome. So yeah, my daughter has one line in the movie really, and that's fucking A. And it's a joke. She's repeating my buddy Beast says fucking A, and then she repeats it throughout the whole movie. Uh, and I thought it was hysterical, but it was so hard to get her to do it. She wouldn't she didn't want to swear in front of people. So that was more difficult than I ever thought. And even today, if you go, Lily, what was your line? She won't say. And to me, she's 8 years old. She knocked it out of the park in that movie. And for the rest of her life, she could sign 8x10s. Fucking A, Lily Devlin, you know. And,
That would be funny.
I set her up, you know. So if the movie takes off, I hope, you know. And her name is Little Angela, which is a throwback to Angela from Sleepaway Camp. So
Nice.
uh, that my daughter Lily loves Felissa Rose, so I named her character Little Angela.
That's funny. How is it, you know, directing a child or directing your daughter? Do you treat her differently than you would just like a child that you didn't know?
I am much more comfortable with her than any kid I don't know. Like if I were to cast a kid, but it was really difficult directing my child. My kid is awesome, but when she doesn't want to do something, she really digs her heels in. So we were working late nights. It was cold. It was just tough. It was really tough.
And she did a good job. She's a trooper.
She did a great
So
job. The scene she has in the makeup room talking to Kamara Cole's character Zoe, like, she really took it seriously. You know,
I mean that's great. So it's like you Drew with like his kids. It's really cool to see parents that are filmmakers bringing their kids into this. And from what I've seen, it's not hurting them.
right, right.
It's probably
And
making them more creative.
I think so. And Drew's son actually plays teenage Teddy as well.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize that.
Nobody does because we don't show Teddy's face until he's wearing the bear mask. So both my son plays the youngest Teddy, and then Drew's son plays teenage Teddy, and then Jason Wallace is adult Teddy, and then Michael Shields. I don't want to give any spoilers. Maybe I don't know. There's spoilers involved who Michael Shields is, but um, it all comes together in the end.
Yeah, and I like that there's like the fire pit where they're telling the stories, and then
Great Friday 13th Part 2
exactly.
With the Stu Cherno scare, when he comes out with the mask. I mean, not a ripoff, a homage, but definitely direct Friday 2. And then the building montage was straight from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Like when they're building the haunted house and the music's going, that was all pulled from Elvira.
So that was fun. And then we have before that the auditions.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the auditions is a homage to one of my all-time favorite movies ever. The whole movie is actually an homage to it. It's called Dark Walker. It's a Danny Draven film produced by Chuck Williams, and I love Dark Walker. And so
I like that.
I set out to make Teddy Told Me To. I wanted it to feel like Sleepaway Camp 2, Friday the 13th Part 4, and Dark Walker just mushed together.
Yeah, and we were talking about people earlier, and I met Danny Draven on Evil Bong 777. And it was one of those things where like Charles Band was over here and the camera was over here. And I already had my fanboy moment with Charles Band. And then it was just like, oh my God, that's Danny Draven. That's Danny Draven. And we took a break for a second, and I went over, and of course, Mr. Draven, I'm a fan, and all that. And then we started talking, and then it's just like, John, get over here. And the next day, he brought in a shopping bag of stuff, DVDs, CDs, all this. And I'm like, and I only asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I bring a couple DVDs in and stuff for you to sign? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. Instead, he brought me in this bag of stuff.
Danny Draven is one of the greatest humans that ever was. I love Danny Draven, and I love Dark Walker. I
like that too.
I've bugged Danny about making a sequel to Dark Walker for so long. He kind of said what Lola did. He's like, make your own haunted house killer guy. I did. It's very much inspired by what Chuck and Danny did. Chuck Williams, very responsible for Dark Walker as well.
Yeah, and his wife did the score, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's a good score. I like that movie. I've enjoyed. I brought him in the old DVD for Horror Vision. I think it's like Lunar or something is up on top.
Yeah.
And so he put in that bag the new edition. He's like, why do you have this old edition? I'm like, I bought it when it came out. I enjoyed it that much. And I still think it's his best film, to be honest. I love that movie.
Yeah, it was great.
So so just great people. I mean, and some people are such dicks.
Yeah.
And some just aren't, but yeah. So how long was pre-production on Teddy?
Well, we made Teddy over a long period from May to January. So pre-production was ongoing every week. I don't know, like little bits at a time. I know we shot like the scene, if you blink, you'll miss it, but the Grim Life YouTube group, they get killed by Teddy in one of the musical montages. We shot that scene well before we shot any of the rest of the movie. The movie wasn't written yet. And then all the flashback stuff we shot first before the rest of the script was done. we had the flashbacks, the story that would be told at the campfire we had written first. So I shot all the stuff with Trent Haga and Felissa Rose, and Deegan, Drew's son, first. And then yeah, we just chipped away at it, and most of it got shot in October there during the haunted house hours because the haunt was ready to go. If you look hard in the movie, though, there's haunt characters in the movie that aren't characters in the movie. Like there's some skeleton kids that just show up, and it's like, and you push one of them and walk past them. Those kids aren't in the rest of the movie, so
I pushed them so hard.
It's kind of a funny thing.
Well, I do play
yeah.
Dick Patron, so.
So the question is, does that mean like asshole patron, or is your name Dick, like Richard?
I think that it is very convenient that my name is Dick. I think I would. Yeah, and they're just like, man, your name fits you perfectly. That's why you're such a Dick Patron.
I had somebody else plan to play your part who asked me to be in the movie, and I wrote him a role in the movie after the film was written. I was like, yeah, I'll write you a part because I do that. Like, sure, hell yeah, I want you in my movie. And he was a wrestler, and so you get killed amongst Sin Bodhi and Beast the Butcher, real wrestlers. So I had like a huge kind of like fight scene with the three of you written, and then that guy got pissed that the part was so small. And he was like, I'm not doing this. He was really angry, and he didn't. And we parted ways. And I called you, and you're like, yeah, I'll do it. That little part gets more attention than some of the bigger parts. You know?
Oh,
what I mean?
That's awesome. Thank you. That's great.
And you kick off all the kills. Really, like the kills begin. And Beast's death right after yours, that's my favorite death in the movie. And I don't know, that guy lost out because now
I think so.
I would have brought him as part of the team. Like that's the thing. You just said it. Some people are super cool and some people are just dicks. That guy was a dick.
Yeah.
Like, every role can be a starring role. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was when I got the message, hey, do you want to be in Tom's film? I'm like, yeah. I don't care what it is. It's like, yeah, okay, the role could be this small or whatever. I'll do it. Sure, that's no problem. And I've had a variety of different ones on yours. So for your vampire film, I was a homeless person around a trash can fire.
I mean,
yeah,
literally almost just an extra. And but sometimes
doesn't matter.
Sometimes that's what we need because you have a grizzled gray beard and you can look like a homeless guy.
That's true. That's true. And I got to hang out with your dad.
Yeah,
who was one of my favorites to hang out with when I shoot with you.
I'm glad to hear that because
I think he's awesome.
Okay, he can be. But no, I mean, listen, sometimes we need some bodies around a fire pit. But then sometimes I need someone more than that. And you're always game, which I love because I want to give you big roles, but there's not always. Sometimes there is. In Gacy, you're huge. You're the whole movie.
That's what you told me, and I appreciated that so much. Is that you said, I've only given you these small roles. I now want to give you this big role, and it's like, wow, thank you. That is so nice of you. That is awesome.
Literally the whole movie, and it's great. That it's one of those things. You cannot put the same person in every film unless they're not the same person in every film. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of the Kevin Smith Askew-universe, and I love how his characters just intermingle.
Well, especially when they're in the same movies. Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, and you have Ben Affleck playing like 2 to 3 characters, and I mean that stuff is great. And it's Ben Affleck, but he's got the different shirt and he's got the different hairdo, and so it's I think that's really fun. And I think that just goes to show, just, people out there, don't be a dick. When you go onto a set.
They then lost. His big thing was he wants to be an actor. I was like, I'm putting you in a movie with 2 Jason Voorhees and fucking Alice from Nightmare 4 and 5. How much? That's a good credit, you know. And then he could have also been in Las Vegas Frankenstein, The After Dark, Nameless, whatever, you know. But you know, I'm not gonna ever hire him again, you know.
Yeah, I mean, his name could have been right where my name is, right there. Could have been
Could have
right
been.
there, but
Could
it's
have been.
not.
It's not, and I'm
No,
glad. You know,
thank you.
everything worked out the way it should.
Yes, I agree. So, next question would be, what was production time like?
We never go over 12 hours. I'm a stickler to that because not that I'm following union rules, but there's you get your best work out of people up until a point. You know what I mean? So we really have never gone over 12 hours. And I mean, we've pulled it to 12 hours, but we've never gone over. And then, you know, the best way to make these movies is to be organized. Like Teddy, we shot a total of 12 days because it was split up so much. But most of my other films are about 5 to 7 days total, you know, and that's just being really organized. I don't use a traditional AD. I have a producer named Kayla who she's my line producer, my AD, and my script supervisor all together, and my personal assistant. So Kayla stands by me with her notebook and her script, and we get very organized with our shot list. I'm a big into storyboards. I like to know what I'm shooting, so I don't waste time shooting stuff I'm not going to use.
Right. And that's it. And so, as far as crew goes, how many people do you normally have like behind the camera?
There's about 6 of us, you know.
Six. That's
Yeah,
six.
that's about it. It's
So you can make a movie with 6 people. Who would have
yeah,
guessed?
I mean, that's really about you got Steve Hansen, Caleb Bushell, Corey Clear, Waleed Atchi, myself, and sound guy Shane, you know.
See,
So
you just I think that's what stops a lot of people. And I really like Steve. I went up to his ranch and we're gonna shoot AXEMAS 3 there, maybe part 4.
yeah,
And it's such a great place to shoot at.
yeah,
So I'm really happy about that. But
we're
it's you and just going there, that's like a whole, I mean, I'm not kidding, it's a ranch. I mean, it's
yeah, 26
giant.
acres.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
we're gonna
one
build
guy and his
sound
mom.
we're gonna build stages out there too and do facades, and we want to make a movie ranch out there, you know.
Just don't let the Manson cult start living there.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
The
Um,
trek the trek was shot over the border of Spawn Ranch. Basically shot yeah, off the DeSoto Hills in past Northridge, right over the border of Spawn Ranch is where we shot the trek.
oh wow. Did you get any vibes or anything like that?
Definitely some weird vibes. The weirdest thing that happened, we left a bloody mess there because we were coming back the next day. Now this is in 2005, so not a lot of people were out there. Whatever. We came back the next day, and you know that Indian guy from 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Oh
He's
yeah,
real.
yeah.
He was there, and he was freaking out about this bloody mess and these sticks, and he's like, "There's violence! Something happened out here!" And we're like, "I wish I would have got behind the scenes." I was like, "No, we're making a movie," and he's like, "I make movies," and we're like, we know who you are." It was incredible. I wish that the low budget films are so fun because the weirdest stuff happens.
It really does. And for, like at the end of Meat 4, I really wish I could have filmed this, but I guess I couldn't because cops can't be on film technically. But when my lead Mindy runs out of the bar and then Bubba comes out and grabs her and pulls her back in and the door slams shut, I guess through all the screaming and the different takes, the neighbors called the cops
Oh, that's fun.
and said that somebody got kidnapped or murdered. So we had a helicopter flying over that was spotlighting everything, and like 10 cop cars showed up. And then here I am, we're walking out with like a camera, and the Bubba's walking out with the meat hook, and there's all the cops.
Yeah.
and they end up taking photos with people and but I'm like, man, why couldn't I get this on film? This would have been great. What an ending.
Yeah. That's
But I
great.
guess, yeah, we could. I asked one of them, they said no, we can't be on film. So I guess if it's set up. But yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you just wish and it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
so now what about post-production?
Post-production, I had Teddy was edited by Caleb Emerson, who's a very talented editor. He was the head editor on Tosh.0 for a decade.
Oh,
And he's also a director. He made Die Zombie Bastards and Frankie and Blunderland. He played Carl Jr. in Poultrygeist, the Trauma film, and Dex Diaper in Toxic Avenger Part 4. He's one of my best friends. And I had him edit Teddy, and he killed it. And then my wife did all the sound design. Lola does all the sound design. And like I said before, John Mazzari provided a score. And that was crazy because he was doing a signing at the museum, just kind of called me and asked if he could come, and I said yeah. And then we were shooting afterwards, and he saw us making this little movie, and he works on bigger movies and TV and stuff. His and he approached me and said, "Can I write you some music?" And I thought he meant like a little bit that we can just put in somewhere, And he scored the whole movie. It was
sweet.
amazing. It was amazing, and he did a great job. And yeah, the post production, we sped it along because of all those festival deadlines we were trying to make, and then that was the only bummer we didn't get in those festivals, but
I
it's
don't know.
okay.
Do they ever give now? I've never put any of my films well, I've tried, but they all come back saying sorry. But do they ever give a reason?
No, no, and it's hard to believe that they watch it. You know what I mean? You pay the submission. They only get 22 films in their festival or whatever, and I think a lot of them already have it planned out. It's a weird thing. I'm pretty anti film festivals, except for our local boys at the Sin City Horror Fest, who have shown me nothing but love. Love those guys, and other than that, I'm really kind of salty about festivals.
Yeah, I think they tend to aim for legacy filmmakers. It's oh, so and so son made this. Let's put it in.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't matter if it's good or not.
yeah.
Teddy could be 10,000 times better, but hey, that's a name. So
I mean, we got turned down at festivals that put DC fan films in our place. You know what I mean?
what?
That's madness. Like they don't
I,
even have the to show that. It's crazy.
I'm not even a fan of fan films. I think they're a waste of time.
Yeah, I don't understand it. So it's one of those things. It was I but then the crazy thing is like I'm finishing this After Dark movie right now and it's so fun and I'm like, do I do the festivals? I don't know. Like people deserve to see this. So I think I'm just going to book my own tour again and bring it on the road cuz
I think that's cool. It's very what do they call it? Not do it yourself, but grassroots.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and I love how you have the dates on here. It's almost like a concert shirt, like it's the back of a concert shirt.
Yeah. That was the idea.
So when you talked about distribution and you're going to be, that you're doing it yourself, I'm going to sneeze. Ooh, excuse me. Would you? Ooh, excuse me. Always in twos. Always. Um, would you consider like a Wild Eye releasing or somebody like that to release it?
No. I want to become that. So not all of the films, because some of the films that I'm working on right now are in conjunction with other filmmakers that have, if like the V horror guys, they paid for Las Vegas Frankenstein and Nameless. They have their own avenue of distribution. We have a deal where we get physical media and we get a piece of the digital media, whatever. But then like Teddy, the After Dark, Roboxer Revival, which is my thing I'm going into in December, the robot movie. Those are full Plan 10 pictures that will be released by Plan 10 Pictures. So there's no middlemen. We've worked very hard for the last year and a half to build the streaming relationships, And with Teddy, it got picked up by DirecTV. We put it out on Amazon and Google Play and the YouTube rentals. And then in 40 days, it will hopefully go to Tubi and Vudu and those ad-based revenue. So we're building relationships with these people so we can get our movies out there more. The get a bigger reach. But we have some really cool stuff coming with Teddy. It's been teased at, but not quite announced, that there'll be a t-shirt company putting out some t-shirts that is pretty big. And I don't know. I feel like we're building a snowball here. That's the plan. Now, like if Wild Eye or the people from Wild Eye came and gave me some money to go towards one of my movies, like say they said, we have, this much money, can you make us a horror film? I would most likely say yes. They would get their streaming deal. I would take the physical media or whatever the split might be,
Okay. So not opposed to it. It just has to be
Not
the right
opposed
deal.
to it for producer wise. So like the Slaughterhouse on the Hill was paid for by a company. It will probably come out on ITN or Wild Eye or something like that,
It's a good title. I like that title.
Yes, I love that title. And that movie, I'll have the physical rights to it, and we can sell Blu-rays and DVDs at the Monster Museum. We can sell them at conventions. We can do that. But the streaming rights will probably revert to the people that paid for it.
Do you want to stay more grassroots, or do you want Walmart? Do you want, well, I guess Target, I guess, is dying, and Best Buy. I mean,
the hard part with Walmart is they order 40,000 copies. Let's just say 4,000 to make the math easier. They order 4,000 copies. They sell 1,000. Then they ship you back 3,000 and you have to store them. You know what I mean? And also you have to pay for all 4,000. So you'll make your money back on the 1,000 they sell. But I don't know. That's a really difficult thing unless I had a hell of a hit. You know what I mean? I do pretty good selling at the conventions and selling at my on my website, plan10pictures.com. We'll drop ship anything. And we do good at the Monster Museum. So we have a built-in retail, So I don't really worry too much about Walmart. As you said, Best Buy's gone, Target's dying, Walmart soon to follow,
Just keep shrinking and shrinking to where they're just not going to have any physical copies anymore.
Yeah, it's really tough. I have kind of a 10-year plan with the distribution because I don't know what it's going to turn into. But if I can build those streaming service relationships now, then in 5 years when there's no physical media, maybe I can still keep going. But the thing is like you can't get a Tubi video signed. You can't collect that. And I like the collectability of what we do with the different covers and the action figures, and I want to get into comic books and stuff like that.
It's just not the same. It just is not the same unless you have it in your hand. And it's that's why I get annoyed at like Netflix and some of these other streaming sites that, oh, we're just not going to release it. If you want to watch it, you're going to have to watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I think that sucks. So then you almost have to do kind of like bootlegs. If you want the new Hellraiser movie that was on Hulu, you got to find somebody who downloaded it and then put it onto Blu-ray, and then you buy it off of eBay.
Yeah.
Which I almost feel is justified because you guys are being dicks. And I want the movie in my collection. I own all of them. I want that one too. If you're not going to release it, I'll buy it someplace else.
Part of what I've started to do, actually last week, really started reaching out to filmmakers who are not getting physical media deals. Movies that I think are good, that deserve, to be on physical media. And I'm trying to make deals to distribute some other people's films, but I'm very protective of the brand. So it has to be something I love,
Sure. Oh yeah. You don't want to, just release just anything,
Right. Not just content hungry. I want it when you watch a Plan 10 film, it should feel like a Plan 10 film, you know?
Yeah, and there's definitely people out there who just, it's more about, quantity over quality.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's filming a turd for 2 hours is not, I really don't want to pay $20 for that.
Right.
It has to have a bow on it, at least.
Yes.
Give me something nice. This is kind of a weird question because you're so well known, especially with effects. Since you've started directing, has your career changed any? Like, are people really taking notice that you're directing now?
I think people are definitely taking notice. I do a lot of conventions, and when I do the conventions, I get asked to teach classes a lot. And I was at Mad Monster, North Carolina, a couple months ago, and they asked me to teach a class on directing and producing your first feature film. And in that class, I found an investor for my film in December. Not for them, but they were just inspired by what I had to say and my confidence. And they came up to me, a sidebar conversation later in the day, and said, "Hey, I was really impressed by what you had to say. Let's make a movie." You know what I mean? So I definitely feel like my career is taking a turn into it's evolving. I still do makeup effects and creature creation. I'm working with the Mahals on their new Bikers versus Werewolves, which I told them, you had me at Bikers and you had me again at, you know, I don't work for everybody doing effects. I'm pretty picky, and it's got to be lucrative. That sounds terrible, but like,
Well, you all got to pay rent or mortgages.
I'll direct for nothing because I'm building a repertoire. I've never paid myself for directing yet, but I will only do effects to pay the bills.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So a couple things to go back to the film itself. The Teddy wall painting. They talk about has that gone too far? Do you feel that it's gone too far?
No, that was kind of written in there because we were like, how do we explain that there's this giant Teddy mural? Because I had done that 2 years prior. So it was like, oh, of course, Teddy painted that because they all get to make their own rooms, and he must have done it over. We were going to shoot him like finishing it up, but we never got that shot. And then we just did it in the security camera, and it worked out well. I painted that mural, and I loved it. It's gone now, but no. But that whole set has been revamped this week. We're revamping. We're building something miraculous right now. You'll have to come check it out.
Oh, I definitely will.
Going to be awesome. But yeah, so I love that artwork will live forever on the Teddy Told Me To. But the cool thing is so he's painted that. And then you walk within the haunted house that it's painted on, and there's all these other paintings of the past and the flashback history. Yeah. And we realize that Teddy's somewhat of an artist. You know what I mean? And in my sequel, I really want to play on the kind of art studio vibe of the lineage of the family. So take it out of a haunted house and into a gallery, so to speak.
Were those made just for the film, or are you planning on maybe doing a comic book?
Well, I have always planned on doing a comic book if I could find somebody that would help me with it. But those paintings were painted for the film based on the script.
Okay. They're very good.
Yeah, Jeff Chang, who he's a good artist. He's worked with me at the Monster Museum for a while, and he painted those for me.
Yeah, they're good. I was watching it again. I'm like, God, I wonder if those are like for a comic, like panels for a comic book.
He was the first person that was going to make me a comic book. I've been through about 12 people, and nobody, I don't know. I understand. Like, I have some quotes to make a legitimate comic book with comic book creators. It costs a lot of money, like making a movie. I totally understand it's their art, and I will pay for that. But I've had a lot of people approach me about like, oh, we could do a Teddy comic. And then they get 3 pages done, and they're like, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, They did a Meat Hook 3 comic book, and
That
it was black and white. It was bigger,
yeah,
and it was good. The art was good, but it only covered like, I don't know, the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's kind of weird.
yeah.
Didn't even cover the whole thing.
You really need 3 books to do a 90-minute movie. You know, 3 25-page books.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I've learned.
Maybe that's it. Maybe there was only enough to do one comic. So yeah, they just couldn't finish doing the rest. Um, are some of the people in this real people, not just characters? Like Evil Ned, the 2 bloggers. Are some of these people? Is he
Evil
like a
Ned,
real horror host?
Evil Ned is not a real horror host. Not at all. Evil Ned is Josh Cornell, who's my buddy from many years ago, 20 plus years. He also helps me write some of the movies. Like he wrote The After Dark. He was the last. He, much like you, there was a Las Vegas horror personality that approached me and said, "I'd like to be in your movie. Can I be in your movie?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll write you a part." And I'm not going to use his name, but he really boned me. The day that he started shooting was the montage day when they're building. They're having that conference off the porch, like, "Welcome everybody," blah 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 blah. And he didn't. It was no call, no show, man. He didn't show up. He didn't show up, and I could have wrote him out of the movie, but instead, because I'm slightly spiteful, I wrote Evil Ned, which is a caricature of this dude who didn't show up, and he drives the same car, and he has the same babe, and it was very much my "fuck you, you don't want to be in my movie, and you're gonna no call, no show me." 3 days later, he wrote, "Sorry, bro, I slept in. What's our next move?" And our next move is you ruined my shots. You know, he wasn't there for the audition. He wasn't there for the building stuff. He wasn't there for any of it. So I flew Josh out from Indiana and I put him in my movie, and he did great as Evil Ned, and I thought it was pretty funny. But he's the lead in Legend of the Sasquatch. He plays one of the vampires in the After Dark. He's definitely a good dude. And then as far as the bloggers go, Justin Scard and Jacob the Carpetbagger, those are 2 real YouTubers, yes. And they're playing characters of themselves, you know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they did a great job. They have a huge fan following, each of them, and they both have been promoting the movie, which is extremely helpful.
Yeah, it's how do you, to go back to like the Evil Ned guy? I mean, how do you not set an alarm? I don't get that. That just seems like a really lame excuse. I mean,
It's just so unprofessional, insane,
yeah.
insanely professional, and he's like thinks nothing of it. You know, he still thinks we're buddies. He wants to show his Halloween special, horror host Halloween special at the museum this month, and I'm like, how do you have the audacity to even reach out about that? I don't know. It's bizarre. So, I mean, there was a script. He had lines. He was supposed to be there. It's crazy, you know.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of, flamboyant role, and it's a fun role. So I don't get it.
And originally, it was just him with his real name, kind of like Sin Bodhi's character, Warlord of Weird. That's Sin Bodhi. That's his wrestling character. Beast the Butcher. That's his wrestling character. I just wrote my friends in there, you know. And then Daniel Rodriguez and his daughter Mila play Spot and Dot. Those guys at the time were my haunters that worked in the haunted house. So they're in the same costumes they wore when they were acting, you know. Michael Shields played Teddy in my haunted house for 2 years prior to the movie. So, like, yeah, that was him, you know. It was, it all kind of was written around who I knew and what I had at my disposal.
I didn't know about Michael.
Yeah.
Wow. So he really knew the character then.
Yeah, he had been playing Teddy for a couple of years at that point.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't know that. So how do you figure out each death? Like how did you figure out my death? How do you figure out the deaths for each person?
I don't even know. Like, I think because I've been doing effects for so long, like I don't really like coming up with it. So I asked Waleed, my buddy, a bunch of times, uh, if he'll just come up with how people die, and then he'll write it, and then, or give me some notes, and then I just do what he writes. The one I put a lot of time into, two of them. Uh, Eric Hart gets a hammer to his face, like, and it doesn't stop, and it's all in slow motion, and it goes on and on and on and on.
That
And
is brutal.
if you know Eric Hart, like, you want to do that because
I think he's hilarious. Whenever I'm around him, he makes me laugh. I think he's hilarious. He cracks me
yeah,
up.
in small doses. Uh, so it was fun. It was fun to hit him in the face with a hammer over and over and over again because that's him. I don't know. I thought that was funny. And then Beast, when Beast's guts come off and then his head rips off, that was my what I call the hatchet moment. Because when you think of hatchet, you think of that face getting torn in half and the circle camera. And
Oh
uh,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I wanted something that landed like that, and that was kind of Beast. The guts falling in slow motion, and his head comes off, and it's kind of gives that effect.
Yeah, your stuff gets really brutal. I mean, it's you're not. I mean, this is unrated.
Yeah,
Yeah, not rated. So if is there even going to be like a more not rated?
no, that is the cut that you will see.
Okay, yeah, it's for gore hounds out there, man. This thing is, and they're all practical.
Yeah, and the one thing is, like, I wish I would have put a little more time into the effects. You know what I mean? Like, it was hard to juggle directing and doing it. But everybody compliments the effects in the movie. I only see, like, oh, this could have been a little better. Or we could have done that. There's a couple moments where it's like, but whatever. I love that, like, instead of cutting real fast, I made a point to not cut away and cut real fast. I let it linger on things. Let slow motion of cutting her face off and slow motion of the hammer hits, because I've done so many movies where I do these effects and then you don't even see it. So I just wanted to make sure people saw it.
So now this is something I've only figured out in the last couple years. Is so when like when Miranda and I worked together, and it was like Meat Hook and AXEMAS 2, I didn't know before that, like on the first AXEMAS, that you should let the effects person direct their effects, because they will know the camera looks best here for my effect while I'm putting it here. And
There is,
so that's what I let her do. So is that, you're an effects person, you're a director.
there's a truth to that, but on a lot of movies, you will not be given that freedom. You know what I mean? Like, the cinematographer does not like to be told what to do by anybody other than the director, and sometimes not the direct. Sometimes not even then. So I do believe that we should. It's a collaborative art, and they don't know how to shoot this stuff. So I believe we should work together. Working with somebody like Michael Sue, who understands effects, is much easier than working for somebody who is trying to keep the facade of being the greatest director ever, and they don't want to collaborate.
So it's kind of more of an ego thing if they don't want
Yeah,
you to do it.
it's very difficult sometimes to navigate. One of my favorite cinematographers, hands down, is Tom Calloway. He shot Feast, and Critters 3. I love Tom Calloway. He's very difficult for me to work with because I'll make a whole effect with tubes running down this side because we got to shoot it from over here. And he'll tell me, oh, we can't shoot it from over there. And I said, well, we have to shoot it from over here. No, we got to shoot it from the other side. And I'm like, okay, where were you when we were talking about how we were going to pull this off? You know what I mean? So it's difficult. I love Tom Calloway, but he was very hard to work with that way.
So with you being the main effects person and the director, and your crew very well, does it go smoothly?
Yeah, I just kind of bark at him. I'm like, Wally, blood over here. Do this, do that, do this. Okay, get that. You got that? You got it? You got it? You got it? Good. Shoot it. What do you mean you didn't get it? It's but no, we've done this a million times. So it really, I mean, you saw it. We put that wound on your neck in like 8 minutes, and bada bing, bada boom.
I still own it.
Oh, cool.
I had them take it off so slowly, and they put it into like a sandwich bag,
Yeah,
and I have it. I kept it.
eBay.
I'm like, this is my first Tom Devlin effect on me. I am keeping this.
That's cool. That's great.
I'm such a dork. I'm such a geek.
I like it. We all are.
Well, yeah. So, when you're looking around, because since you're using your own haunt, your own museum, your own people and all that, are you really looking at like music and lighting and props and the sets, since you already know you got it all?
Yeah, because I'm kind of like today I spent all day at thrift stores buying wardrobes and stuff because I don't have it all. You know what I mean? I definitely like it's built like I'm getting more and more shit because every time we do one of these things, we end up needing more stuff. But it's just insane. We do have a lot at our disposal. Like on Slaughterhouse, we were able to pull off an insane feat. We built sets in one day, and I put together the wardrobes that night, and we were shooting the next day. And it was like we weren't even supposed to be making that movie. We just had to do a quick pivot because our locations got lost at the other movie. So
Oh no.
we do have a lot at our disposal, but it takes a lot of work to get it to what it needs to be for each project, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you have all that, you still need more.
There's always something. Like on Nameless, we had to build gas pumps, and we were able to build gas pumps out of an old tanning bed that, you know, they sell as gas pumps, but there's enough junk around, and we have enough know-how to pull things off relatively affordably. But it's that wicked triangle of cheap, fast, and good. You know, I
Yeah.
believe we can achieve all three, but you just have to pre-plan. That's the planning.
Yeah, because no matter what, something can go wrong. A friend of mine, I acted in his film and did some crew, and he's just like, I got it. This is 100% nothing's gonna go wrong. I got it. I'm like, and he's like, nope, I planned everything, and we got out to the set, and he forgot a jacket,
There you go.
and he can't drive back because it was like miles and miles away,
Yeah,
and we just had to work with it, and the actress needed that jacket, so we just had
yeah.
to, it was like, I told you, but it's, yeah, no matter how well you think you're prepared, you're not.
We
So
are solvers. That's
yeah. So what is a good thing that happened on set, and then what was like a bad thing that happened on set?
um, so many good things happened on set. I can say working with my daughter was fantastic. You know, she was awesome. Watching my son share screen time with Trent Haga and Felissa, and they're pros. You know, and he was a pro, and that was awesome. We made this. I'd say one of the bad things is the decision we made. We made this decision to not show Teddy's face until he's wearing the bear mask. When Deacon puts the bear mask on, or Deegan puts the bear mask on. But I wish I could have seen Cooper's little face in because he was so good, and I wish I could have seen Deegan's face. He was good. You know, I don't know that was the best decision to make. So that might be something bad. But
I mean, in some cases, it probably isn't. It might be best to kind of not do
yeah,
that.
I guess I don't know. I think Cooper was so good in the face with his acting that I just wish I could have seen it because more because he's my kid and I wanted him to know that he's really in the movie. You know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and we do see, Jason, and we do see Michael later.
But is the first time you ever see Teddy when the mask comes off and he's got the wicked eyes, and like that was why we chose not to show the other kids' faces.
Because they was Teddy wicked then, or was he
Well,
wicked with Jason?
I think by the time he was Jason, but I don't think I don't I think the kids were innocent and they were too innocent looking, you know. But I don't know. Whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is, and it plays very well. So I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't think anything different of it. I mean, we get this nice, progression and aging of the character.
Yeah,
So it works, and then maybe that is where, with Jason is the snapping point or something is
yeah,
which is why he's all kind of, all bug-eyed looking. So it's yeah, and a lot of these people are normal looking. I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer looked normal and
yeah.
Bundy looked normal. So yeah. Do you think with the technology that we have today, this definitely benefited you in making these movies? Like if we were still shooting on film and using flatbeds, and do you think that would have been much more difficult to do?
I would love to do it. Like my wife's edited films on the flatbed and done sound and editing on the Avid and stuff. Like the real Avid, not the computer Avid. Uh, I like I said, Joshua was shot on 16 millimeter. It really, I mean, did the technology help? Of course it did. Like I own a Black Magic camera now because it's the closest thing I've found to having a cinema camera. Uh, I think the technology definitely helps, but it also hinders it because I'm trying to achieve a look that doesn't exist anymore.
Well, and a lot of the looks look fake when you try them. Like I've commented on people's movies when they're trying to make a movie from the 80s, and it's like, oh no, it's shot on VHS. It's like
Yeah,
I could go down to the Goodwill right now and buy a VHS tape, and it doesn't look anything like this. I could buy Disney, whatever movie they have there, Turner and Hooch, and put it in my VHS player, and it does not look like what you're showing me.
that's because it was shot on 35.
So yeah, it's just it's, and I'm guilty. I did 2 found footage films where I put the scratches and all that type of
Yeah,
stuff in there for no reason. But it's just I guess that's the hallmark of those types of movies.
yeah.
So it's yeah, I guess you just kind of have to put up with some stuff and all that. Because I used to. I mean, I'm old enough. When I went to film school, I shot on 16, Super 8, 8, and edited a couple films, yeah, on a flatbed.
Yeah.
And I would never go back.
Well,
Never. Not with today's technology. No way.
I think it's fun, but I am a fan. I've been learning the DaVinci editing system that Blackmagic puts out, and it's really cool. Like it's cool to be able to do it all.
It's nice to know that it's not gone. If you cut something and delete it, like, oh no, it's right back. You just have to hit that little arrow and it comes right back.
Yeah,
And that I love, because if you're shooting on film and you're editing on film and you splice it, that splice is there.
yeah,
So, that's why you got to have the 2 prints. You got to have the work printed and the master. But it's you can clearly see in some movies where, especially if they're shot on film, where mistakes were made and they
of
couldn't
course.
fix them. So, you know. But okay, so where are we at here? I think we're oh yeah, we're almost at 2 hours. So that's awesome. Thank you for hanging out for so long.
Of course.
So we're going to be able to see these on streaming and even more streaming later on. We'll get a physical copy of it, and we got all that. So I'll put whatever you have, I'll put it down below so people can check out the film and things like
Amazon
that.
Amazon is your best bet right now, and then down the road we'll have many others. If you have cable or cable VOD, Cox, Charter, any of those, it's available on all that. It's available on DirecTV.
Okay. And what are, just as the last thing so people can go look these things up, what are some of your favorite films that you worked on?
Definitely Joshua. Like I mentioned, it's incredibly hard to find. You probably won't be able to find it right now. That's one that I'm dying to get my Plan 10 fingers into and get it out there for the world. Um, I mean, I don't know. I've worked on a lot of movies.
Well, I see you have a Puppet Master shirt.
Yes, I'm very proud of some of the full moon stuff I did, specifically Killjoy Goes to Hell, Ouija's, and Puppet Master Axis Termination. Those are probably my three favorite full moon movies. Uh, as far as the big budget stuff, I'm very proud of Club Dread. I'm very proud
Oh,
of the
that's
Ben
cool.
Affleck Daredevil movie. I had a hand in both of those, and Red Dragon. Um, of course, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead for Trauma.
Of course.
Big fan of that. Uh, I did a little movie called Dust Up that's on Amazon that is great. I love Dust Up. Stars Amber Benson from the Buffy world. Uh, yeah, I don't know. There's my IMDb is vast, and I
It is very long. Yes.
parental advisory recommended.
And I gave the crowdfunding for Puppet Master Access Termination.
Oh, did you?
Yes, so I'm one of your producers.
Okay, awesome.
So
That's great. I did the best I could on that little movie, and we really gave it our all. They cut a lot of things out, but it was, that was a fun film.
yeah, I got a an 11 by 17 poster, and down below it says the signature collection, and
Mhm.
Charles Band signed it. And I
Cool.
have that actually up on my wall. It's in my bedroom. I framed it and put it up there. So
Cool.
and speaking of posters, what I like what you do is that you bring a stack load of posters and you have cast and crew and everybody sign it. And I have two of yours. Let me see if I can. Oh, I don't think I could do it with the thing up. Let me get rid of this quickly, and then I'll show you so I can let you go. But I was decorating my none. There we go. My living room, and I thought, you know what? I really like these posters from Tom. They're all signed. Hey, look at all these movies. My entire apartment is just movies. Look at all that.
There's a lot.
But if you look back there, you see two posters sitting right next to one another.
Yeah, yeah,
Those are yours. So that's Teddy and Frankenstein.
that's great.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I framed those because I was, happy to be in them and they're signed by everybody. And it was such a fun night.
That's cool.
So yeah. So last question would be, and I know a lot of people ask this, like, what advice would you give? But you've already plugged and everything else from my question is, do you have anything to plug from the past, present, or future? But what would you tell people who want to do this? If you only have 6 crew members, you can make a movie. What would you
Yeah,
say to them?
I say the only thing stopping anybody is yourself. Uh, you just got to get out of your own way. You know what I mean? There's there's no time for excuses. I really, that's it. The only thing stopping anybody from achieving anything, I don't care what that thing is, whether it's filmmaking or building a deck or learning to kickflip, is yourself. You're in your own way. Playing the guitar. So, oh, I wish I could play. My least favorite thing is I hear this all the time because I teach makeup effects. Oh, I'm not an artist. I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm not an artist. And I challenge anybody to write the name, write the word eyeball. And if you can write that word eyeball and I can look at it, you just conveyed something through art. You drew the shapes that said eyeball, and I saw it, and I knew you meant eyeball because that's what you were taught to draw an E, the way that you would. So if you can write the word eyeball, you can learn to draw an eyeball with a pupil and an iris and an eyelid, and it's just self-discipline. That's all it is. And you can do anything. Anybody can make a movie. You just have to get out of your own way and do it. The fact that we have these cell phones that shoot on 4K and 24p, and you can hook boom mics to them, done. We didn't have that when we were kids. We had VHS
No.
cameras. But with those VHS cameras, I made great movies. Not not quality movies, but fun crap movies. And that's really all it comes down to. Every person that I know that doesn't do anything has a million excuses why. But there is no excuse why. The only excuse is because you're not thinking outside the box and problem solving.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I realized, I'll make this quick. I realized it, one, when I worked on Clam Hotel Massacre, because there was more cast than there were crew. And
Right.
and me being the killer clown, I was also crew. So sometimes I'm in full makeup and I'm holding something. And then I worked on a film idea that sadly never came. Well, Clown Tom Mask hasn't come out, but I did another film called Drug Z where I had a little part in it and was crew, and there were only like 4 of us. And that's when I went, oh my God, you can make a movie with 5 people.
Yeah.
I can do this. And that's where AXEMAS came from. So it's you can make, some people make an entire movie just by themselves. They just set up their phone.
Sure.
Like you were saying with like the 4K, and you could just make your whole film by yourself.
Yeah.
And it could be good. You never know.
Could be great.
Yeah. All right, sir. Well, Mr. Tom Devlin, thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'll definitely have to have you back on.
Yeah, I can't wait. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. And I had fun too. So I'll put some links down below so people can check stuff out. Please go visit Tom Devlin's Monster Museum. Check out his movies. Go watch the films that he did, the effects for. Like I said, the list on IMDb is huge. So
all of our personal works are at plan10pictures.com.
There you go. Yeah, check that out too. So it's, as I'm sure many people out there have seen films, then they have no idea. They're just,
It's true. There's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but there's only 4 degrees of Tom Devlin.
I like that. So, all right, man. Well, thank you very much. And I will be seeing you or working with you or having you back on, I hope sometime soon. So
awesome. Have a good one, John.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. And I'll be back with another one filmmaker soon at some point. Bye.
See ya.